Look at me.
Sure.
Look at me.
Sure.
Yeah, I am the Snow White now.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Prior to the release of Snow White, Rachel Zegler went on social media and promised the world that her fans would show up en masse for the movie and that there would be miles-long lines of people waiting to see her on the silver screen.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
So comparing herself to priceless art hanging in the Louvre, Rachel Zegler says that her fans will have her back. Well, clearly her fans have never seen her back because, well, I just don't know if they'd want that. I mean, unless they're fans of her next casting as Chewbacca or perhaps Werewolf. We don't know. Perhaps she's trying out for a new role because this role as Snow White didn't work out great. Many photos like this across social media, completely empty theaters, many videos that have been shown online of completely empty cinemas, Snow White screenings with not a single soul in the audience. And of course, Snow White, as we now know, is the projected #1 Disney live-action remake bomb of all time. So it turns out that Rachel Zegler didn't get her wish, and that perhaps Rachel Zegler underestimated how many fans she has. You know, the interesting thing about this modern era is that when you have real support, it shows up. Try getting into a MAGA rally. You can't. Watch the lines of people trying to get into a MAGA rally. I've stood in many a lines. Some of them are hours long. Some of them go on for days. Literally people camping out for weeks ahead of MAGA rallies. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been inside of Madison Square Garden, some of the largest arenas in the world, with President Trump as the main event, and it's rowdy. In New York, there were 90,000 people who were waiting to get into Madison Square Garden for the Trump rally. Only 30,000 could get in. 90,000 people turned away. It's 120,000 people in downtown Manhattan waiting to see Trump. That's real love. That's more people than went to go see Snow White. I can assure you of that. Videos show how Disney's Snow White abysmally bombed in real time. Completely empty studios and theaters across the entire internet. It's all done. In spite of the fact that Zegler promised that her fans would show, all of her fan would show up. There's probably a guy who's into this. Probably someone's into that, but not many, ladies and gentlemen. But don't worry, Rachel Zegler has remained the official chief narcissist of the entire internet by posting that in spite of its abysmal box office returns, in spite of its cratering IMDb, Metacritic, and Rotten Tomato scores, that she's a huge success, okay? Rachel Zegler is celebrating Snow White being #1 at the box office. I suspect she doesn't know how budgets work. Rachel Zegler, #1 movie in the world. So here it is on Rachel Zegler's account. She's followed by 2.4 million people. None of them showed up or bought a ticket to Snow White to watch her wave from inside of a trailer in her $10 Spirit Halloween Snow White dress. I don't know. How does it look so tacky? It looks so cheap. I didn't see the movie. That's not what I do around here. So I didn't give any money to this production. Nobody really did. The production made $43 million in its opening weekend. It's about to fall off a freaking cliff. She says, #1 movie in the world, with little snow emoji snowflake emoji, and an apple. So it's too bad that they don't have community notes on Instagram. She's turned off the comments. Comments on this post have been limited. So she's blocked the comments. What in the Hunter Biden have you been smoking? You had the worst opening in Disney history. This had 18,000 likes. The post itself only has 100,000 likes. So this is 18,000 likes, and now you can't even like it because it's all been disabled. So it only includes the comments that were able to like get in before she was able to shut them all off. Biggest flop in Disney history. Disney posting this on X, which does have community notes. Snow White is the #1 movie in the world. Now playing in theaters everywhere. Get your tickets now. Community note. Snow White has only made 86 million worldwide. Rotten Tomatoes audience critic scores are below 50%. The real #1 movie in the world is Ninja 2, which generated over $2 billion worldwide, close to it. And the audience critics scores above 90%. So you're wrong. Also, the comments on this are great. Disney with $1 million, free artificial intelligence. And more people posting videos of empty theaters. No, not the #1 movie in the world. Sure, Jan. False. Should have cast Sydney Sweeney. Yeah. I used to be one of the biggest Disney fans and have so many fond memories growing up. Now that I live 20 minutes away, I haven't been for 2 years, really disappointed in the direction the company's going. I will not be seeing the movie ever. So this is so incredibly narcissistic, and Rachel Zegler is proud of that. Again, she considers herself priceless art hanging in the most elite art museum in the world. That's what she says. She calls herself the Winged Victory. Her film is tanking and she's a laughingstock around the world. This is what narcissism looks like. I'll take, what is a narcissist? For 200. Anyone can be Snow White now. Look at me. I'm Snow White. That's right. She's also posting, behind every strong woman is herself, but with a bob. Snow White, now in theaters. Get your ticket. They have a photo of herself looking at herself. Ugh. I mean, I don't know what you think about Rachel Zegler. I'm inclined to say that she's like a 2. It's just my personal scale, all right? Not really what I'm into. But I just can't imagine seeing this version of yourself and thinking like, I am so hot. I'm just it. Behind every strong woman is herself, but with a bob. Well, behind you are some of the worst reviews in world history for a movie. Snow White drops again to a new low of 1.9 on IMDb. Out of 72,000 user ratings, 82% of users gave the film just 1 star out of 10. Rachel Zegler took to Instagram to declare it the #1 movie in the world. Look at these ratings. It's now dropped to 1.8. Yikes. Oh, jeez. Holy smokes, man. Disney's Snow White, now at a 42%. That's ticked down a point. Snow White is hardly a grumpy time at the movies. Rachel Zegler's turn, but it is bashful treatment of the source material, along with dopey stylistic choices won't make everyone happy. Okay. Not fresh. Snow White's actress Rachel Zegler uses she, her, hers pronouns in her Instagram bio and declared the new movie the #1 movie in the world. She's trying to do the Donald Trump wave, isn't she? That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to pull off the Trump wave. Is that it? She's trying to pull, yeah, is that what she's trying to do here? Cheap imitations, man. I desire the level of delusion that Rachel Zegler has. That's right. Rachel Zegler celebrates #1 movie in the world despite disastrous box office. This is, again, given how much money has to be spent on marketing for these things, and Disney spent so much money on marketing. Look at this cast. Oh my god. Oh my god. So this is the cast. Here are some of the freakish, nightmarish dwarves, I guess, who are starring across from Rachel Zegler. The way that these movies work is that it's not just the 200 $190 million that was spent on the movie itself, hundreds of millions get spent in marketing, which they did, buying off journalists and so on this garbage. So it's got to be like $500 million they've spent on this thing now, just to get the worst flop and ratios in YouTube history. And all for good reason, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody deserves it more. Could you imagine? Could you imagine speed ramping the end of your career so quickly? It's really impressive if you think about it. Rachel Zegler is so toxic that it's hard to see how you pull out of this. But, you know, when you consider yourself priceless art that will be admired for the generations, then at least Rachel Zegler won't know. She'll just live in that little delusion, and who's ever caring for her, maybe give her some acting lessons. Send her on her way. The most unfair of them all, the foulest of them all, Rachel Zegler, getting what she deserves. It's your boy Benny. Make sure to subscribe.